Hey, my name is Alyssa, and I'm a certified air fitness instructor. And today I want to share a bit about my journey to getting fit and how I specifically got fit using a curtain. Sounds crazy, I know, because when I first started it, it looked absolutely insane. But after having done this for almost 10 years now, I can say it has been nothing short of life changing. And I want to share more about it because of what it's done for me and what I know it can do for you. Whether or not it's this form of fitness or not, some form of fitness is out there for you. And if you've been told that you're not athletic or you're not good at sports because you failed at a sport when you were like 6 years old and you're now a full grown adult, I think you should give yourself another chance. And I'm so grateful for this form of fitness giving me that chance because never in my life did I think that I could sit here and say I am an athlete and confidently say I'm an athlete with no hesitation. So stay tuned for the whole story of how I got fit using a curtain. Quick disclaimer to say that if these shots do not look like they're uniform at all, it's because they're not. I have a 1-year-old, so I'm just kind of recording this in and out of mom duties and also running a business. So there's a lot going on these days, but I just wanted to hop on here and share this. So going back to when my journey all started, back in 2016, I had a very intense year. Needless to say, there were a lot of things going on in my life that were pretty difficult to get through. And the straw that sort of broke the camel's back was a broken engagement. And after that whole experience, having one thing pile up after the other, culminating with that, I was not doing great emotionally. There was a lot of turmoil there. And also, I think my physical health started to come to the surface. And I started to realize, okay, things aren't as good as I thought in this department either. And so when I thought about my emotional health, I realized it wasn't great. Physical health wasn't great. Put those two together, and you basically have a person who crumbles and just can't get back up. So, in tandem with working on my mental health, I was trying really hard to find something that would help me work on my physical health. Needless to say, I was never athletic. I was also very scrawny, no upper body strength at all. And I hated working out, quite frankly. So, when this time of my life was happening, my roommate, who I was living with, said, "Hey, let's go find something for us to do to get you out of the house. Maybe something fun, but also something that incorporates a physical aspect to it." And we found this class on ClassPass, which was basically an app that allowed you to try a bunch of different classes in the area. And we went to this one studio. I don't recall what it was called, but they did more split silks. And if you've ever seen circus acts, you've probably seen these really tall silks. But when I got there, I walked in the door and saw these women basically traversing these curtains, right? Because when I walked in, I had no idea what it was. I did not know that the correct term was a silk, so don't say curtain to an aerialist. But when I walked in, I was like, is this a sheet? Is it a curtain? I don't really know what it is. But throughout that class, I was kind of thrown into the deep end. I don't even think we took a beginner class. We just signed up for a class. And it was intense. It was very hard. Like I said, I had no upper body strength, so I wasn't able to do pretty much any of the moves. And after that class, I was very empowered because it just made me realize what the human body can do. And not only were they climbing, but they were doing tricks up in the silk as well. And after that class, I started to think about it a little more and wanted to do it again, but I just felt like I'm not good enough for that. So forgot about it for a while. Then we tried a different class called Aerial Fitness. When I walked in the doors of the studio, I was so blown away. There were people of all different shapes and sizes, and they were all participating, and quite frankly, killing it. So I was excited about the idea of walking into a room where there isn't just one sort of stereotyped body type. It was so diverse, and that was something that immediately stood out to me. There were also a lot of different ages in there. So it felt like a very inclusive community for anybody who is just starting on an aerial journey. And the thing I loved about the studio the most was they really broke down how to get in the silk, how to go upside down. They focused on conditioning because sometimes you get thrown into the deep end. But this specific class was so good in terms of breaking everything down, making you feel comfortable and safe. And I think that was the most important part of it to me as well. So after I left that class, I wanted to come back, but $30 a class is a lot when you are not making a ton of money. And I was not making a ton of money at the time. And it just made me feel like this is something I want to do, but kind of out of reach for me. But after a couple of months of not being able to get this amazing experience out of my mind, I went back and signed up for a membership. I just told myself, you gotta give up some things if you want to make this work. And I gave up, going out to eat with a friend so that I can pay for an aerial class because I realized there's always going to be an excuse. And money is a good excuse, but I knew I needed to invest in myself physically. So I kept coming back to this class, immediately got hooked. I was there pretty much every other day at like 6 a.m. And I was also that person in the corner, shaking, like crying sometimes because it was so hard and my body was not used to being pushed to its limits. This is sort of a parallel to life. I mean, where else are you going to train in the air and have it be a physical representation of pushing through hard things? Because if you let yourself drop, you drop to the floor. And yeah, you might break something, but I feel like that is a very unique perspective of aerial that I have not found in any other workout. Obviously, you build up to doing that safely, so don't worry about that. But it's really a way to train your mindset and a way to train your body to know that you can push through hard things. And for me, it was such a beautiful experience to look down at the ground beneath me and realize, wow, you are powerful. Like you have more to offer than you ever thought. And that was such a wonderful experience for me. So after going to more classes, I began to feel like, okay, I think I'm ready to take the next step. This was about 4 years after I started, so it wasn't a next day sort of experience, but I really felt I am ready to be a teacher. So I got my certification in 2020, and since then, it has been so rewarding. I mean, being a student is one thing, but being an instructor is a whole different story. Being able to help facilitate other people through the workout and learning how to get up in the silks and feeling a sense of being free in the air because that's what we do. We work out in the air. And it was so rewarding to see students come in the door, maybe feel a little scared, but at the end of it, they conquered something that they didn't think they could conquer. So helping people get through that physical block, which then turns into getting over mental blocks. I think it's all very, very intertwined. So I am extremely grateful that I've had this experience because it has gotten me to a place of understanding what it means to appreciate your body. And I don't just mean, body positivity, yay, but truly appreciate what your body can do and what you are capable of. I never expected myself to be able to do some of the crazy tricks that I've been able to do in the silks and just feel so strong. I mean, the other month I was actually with my family and we had a little plank contest with my nieces and nephews and these are on the older end nieces and nephews and very athletic. They work out a ton, pretty jacked. You can tell in their muscles. And we did this fun little plank contest and, not to brag, but I did win. And so after that, one of my nephews came up and he was like, yo, you're a freak athlete. And I was like, yeah, that feels really good to hear because years ago, that was not the case. All in all, the reason that I even am on here sharing this story about how I found Aerial and how you can find it as well is because I was fed that lie that if you don't find what sticks for you as a kid, you're never going to be able to be athletic. And growing up, if you didn't train in gymnastics as a kid, there's no way you're making it to the Olympics. Even with pro basketball, soccer, right? It's typically these sports that you do as a young kid. For me, again, that was not the case. So being able to find something in my 20s and be able to stick with it into my 30s and feel like I am an athlete at this point is pretty life changing for me. Again, especially as someone who was considered very scrawny and not somebody who was ever looked at and viewed as powerful. So this class has changed my perspective completely, not just on that, but also on my physical body. Before, I was super self conscious about my arms. I did not like the way that they looked. And so much to the point that when I did get married, I chose a dress that had long sleeves because I wanted to cover up my arms. Now, I loved that dress. I think I looked great in it, so I'm not mad at it. But, the fact that I chose a dress based off of that is kind of crazy. And now I am no longer in that state of mind. I am so proud of what I have been through. I am so proud of my body. I'm so proud of what it's capable of. So all of those combined have brought me to this place of feeling confident. And it's a new confidence that I have never experienced before. And I would love to share that with anybody who is willing to try. So my advice is find a studio that really focuses on conditioning. I will link below to specifically Aerial Fitness. They're not in all 50 states, but they do have a presence in a lot of states, and there are other establishments out there, which I will link to, that will hopefully get you started, at least just at an introductory level. So I think it's pretty clear by this point, I love aerial and I'm a big advocate for it. And specifically, I want to share a project that is in the works at this exact moment and how you can get involved. Basically, how it all started was, as I mentioned, I went on this long journey of finding aerial, having a personal transformation, and then I started meeting a bunch of different people in the aerial community outside of the studio that I would train at. And this world goes so deep. There's competitive aerial, there's performance, there's dance aerial. There's also a ton of different apparati that people use. There's cubes, lyra, split silks, hammock, you name it, trapeze. Like there's so many different forms of aerial out there. And as somebody who has worked in the entertainment industry for my entire career, I have yet to see aerial get any sort of TV time or any sort of real recognition that goes beyond a YouTube video that someone uploaded. And to me, that didn't really sit well because I started noticing other niche sports like pillow fighting, knife throwing, and world chase tag popping up here and there on ESPN. And I started to think, wow, if these sports can do it, no shade to them, but more so the fact that if a niche sport can get onto ESPN, then why can't aerial? And if you've never heard of competitive aerial, you're in for a treat because it is so fun to watch. I actually went to the Aerial Olympics competition in Utah about 2 years ago. I did not compete. I do not compete. And I recognize not everybody in aerial competes. Some people do it for fun. Some people do it because they love to perform, but they're not necessarily going to be doing it as a competition. And for me, I will not be competing. So this whole plea to get aerial on ESPN is not for myself. You will never catch me on ESPN trying to compete. I can pretty much guarantee that. So it is more for other people in the industry that I have looked up to, and I feel that they just haven't gotten the recognition like they deserve. I mean, there's been, the Cheer docuseries. There's been so many docuseries on a bunch of different artistic forms. There's even a documentary on synchronized swimming, right? And there's nothing out there on aerial art specifically. So I want to change that. I know it sounds like a very lofty goal, but you never know until you try. So I have kicked off a collective called Elemental Athletes. And we are a group of people in the aerial industry and entertainment industry working to get competitive aerial on ESPN and other forms of mainstream media. And again, I recognize not everybody in the aerial community does it as a sport, but getting it on ESPN is one of the first steps to unlocking major investments in the field because once you can get a sport recognized, that's when true investments come in. And these athletes are some of the most incredible athletes I have ever seen, and they're not properly compensated. And there's just so much untapped potential in this industry. So I am setting out to make this a goal. And I would love if you can join us by signing the petition to get competitive aerial on ESPN. Through this process, I am going to be recording the whole journey of me and my other fellow collective members of Elemental Athletes trying to get this goal accomplished. It will be everything from the emails that we send to the responses we get to the tasks that we are working on to try and make this a reality. Because at the end of the day, I'm quite frankly curious to see how people actually get sports recognized and on ESPN. So come with me as we break it down. We will be going through all the nitty gritty details of how this process is working, how it's coming along. I'm very excited because there's already a few wonderful things in the works. So more to come. And furthermore, I just want to say if you are looking for an entry point to aerial, I am so excited because there's so many more videos from us coming soon that will share more about how you can get involved, what are the different types of aerial, showcasing aerial competitions, and really just working to raise awareness around the field in general. So, more videos will be coming. I will also be doing some tutorials, and I'm just excited for us to share more about our passions with you. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope if you've made it this far, you enjoyed some part of learning about my journey and how you can potentially find your own entry point, whether it is with aerial or not. I would just love to encourage you to find some form of athleticism for yourself, whether or not you started as a kid. You owe it to yourself. You deserve to feel powerful and strong. And I can't wait for you to find what that is for you if you have not yet found that. And I hope that you'll come back and visit this channel for more videos on all things aerial.